Most women over 60 own at least 3 belts sitting in a drawer doing absolutely nothing for them. And here's the strange part. The way you're probably wearing a belt right now might actually be adding inches to your waistline instead of taking them away. One tiny placement mistake is quietly working against you every single time you get dressed. And most women have no idea it's happening. We were taught to buy a belt that matches our shoes and call it a day. Nobody taught us that a belt is actually one of the most powerful shaping tools in our entire closet. Today I'm going to show you 7 belt tricks that instantly create a slimmer, more elegant silhouette, using pieces you almost certainly already own. And I promise trick number 1 alone will change the way you get dressed tomorrow morning. Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you're already part of this little community. I'm so glad you're here. This channel is all about looking effortlessly elegant and feeling confident at any age, without spending a fortune doing it. If that sounds like your kind of thing, go ahead and hit subscribe because we've got a lot more style secrets like this one coming your way. Now let's talk belts, because this humble little accessory is doing way more heavy lifting for your figure than most of us ever realized. Trick 1. Stop wearing your belt at your actual waistline. Here's something that surprises almost everyone. The place you think your waist is isn't always the most flattering place to cinch a belt. As we get a little older, our natural waistline can shift, and cinching right at the belly button often draws attention to exactly the spot we're trying to minimize. Why does this happen so often? Because we were taught for decades that a belt goes at the waist. Full stop, no further thought needed. Nobody ever told us that the ideal belt placement is actually a personal measurement, not a fixed rule. The fix is simple. Find your natural narrowest point, which for most women sits just slightly above the belly button, and that's where the belt should sit. Stand sideways in a mirror and look for the smallest part of your torso. That's your target. A quick styling tip. If you're wearing a dress with a defined waist seam, you don't need to match the belt to that seam exactly. Trust your own body's shape over the garment's design. Designers cut clothes for an average body, and none of us are actually average, so give yourself permission to override the seam and follow what your own reflection is telling you. Here's a real example. One of my viewers told me she'd been wearing the same belt an inch too low for years, right at the hip bone instead of her natural waist, and simply raising it changed her whole silhouette without buying a single new item. She said people started asking if she'd lost weight, and nothing had changed except a small shift in belt placement. Confidence-wise, this is such an easy win because it costs nothing. You already own the belt. You're just moving it. And affordable belts are everywhere, so if you don't own one yet, thrift stores and discount retailers almost always have a great selection for just a few dollars. Trick 2. Choose width based on your torso, not trends. A lot of women grab whatever belt width is currently in fashion magazines, without asking whether it actually suits their frame. This matters more than people think because a belt that's too wide can shorten your torso, while one that's too thin can get visually lost and do nothing at all. Why does this trip so many women up? Because fashion trends cycle through skinny belts one year and statement-wide belts the next. And we chase the trend instead of chasing what flatters us personally. The fix here is proportion. If you have a shorter torso, a slimmer belt, somewhere around 1 to 1.5 inches, tends to be far more flattering. If you have a longer torso, you can absolutely handle a wider belt, 2 to 3 inches, and it will look intentional rather than overwhelming. A styling tip that works beautifully. Pair a wider belt with a simple, unpatterned top so the belt becomes the statement piece rather than competing with busy prints. I had a client once who avoided belts entirely because she thought they didn't work on her body. It turned out she just needed a narrower width, nothing more complicated than that. Once she switched, belts became one of her favorite accessories. That's the kind of small adjustment that changes everything. And it's exactly why I want you to actually experiment, rather than assuming belts aren't for you. And you don't need designer prices here. A basic leather look belt from an affordable retailer does the job just as well as one costing 10 times more. But the biggest mistake on this list is still coming, so keep watching. Trick 3. Let the belt create a waist. Don't let it fight your outfit. This one is subtle but powerful. Many women put on an outfit that already has some shape to it, then add a belt that fights against that shape instead of enhancing it. The result is a bulky midsection instead of a defined one. The reason this happens is that we often think more structure equals more shape, so we layer belts over already fitted pieces without checking how the fabric reacts. Bunching happens and suddenly the belt is working against you. The fix is choosing your belt based on the fabric underneath it. Soft, flowy fabrics like knits or jersey dresses need a belt that can cinch smoothly without creating bulk, so look for something thin and flexible. Structured fabrics like cotton or denim can handle a firmer, wider belt because the fabric holds its shape on its own. Here's an easy styling tip. If your top or dress is loose and flowy, try a slight blousing effect above the belt. Just gently pull a small amount of fabric over the top edge. It creates soft shape instead of a tight, uncomfortable line. A real example that comes up constantly: women wearing a soft wrap dress with a thick stiff belt end up with visible bunching at the sides, and then they blame the dress when really it was just the wrong belt for that fabric. Switch to a thin elastic or fabric belt instead, and the whole outfit suddenly looks tailored. This is also where confidence really shows. When your clothes move naturally with you instead of fighting your body, you stand differently. You feel put together. And that shows on your face before anyone even notices the outfit itself. Trick 4. Match belt color to create an illusion, not just a match. Most women choose a belt color simply because it matches their shoes or bag. That's a nice rule for polish, but it's not actually the rule that creates a slimmer look. Color placement does something completely different, and almost nobody talks about it. The reason this gets overlooked is that we're taught coordination, not illusion. Nobody explains that a belt in the same tone as your outfit disappears visually, which elongates your whole silhouette, while a belt in a bold contrasting color chops your body into two separate halves. The fix depends on your goal. If you want maximum slimming and elongation, choose a belt close to the color of your top and bottom, so it blends rather than interrupts. If you want to draw the eye toward your waist specifically, a contrasting color works beautifully, but understand that it's creating emphasis, not necessarily length. A styling tip that photographs well. Monochrome dressing, meaning your top, bottom, and belt are all similar tones, is one of the most universally slimming combinations you can wear, and it works at any age or size. I remember a viewer commenting that she always thought bold belts were more stylish, until she tried a tonal belt with a monochrome outfit, and said people kept telling her she looked taller. Nothing else about her outfit changed except that one small color decision. That's the power of this trick. And affordable options are simple here too. A basic black or nude belt works with almost everything you already own, so you really only need one or two versatile colors in your collection. Trick 5. Skip the belt loops entirely sometimes. This one surprises people because we assume belts only go through belt loops. But some of the most slimming belt looks skip the loops completely and sit over the top of a garment instead, like over a cardigan, a blazer, or a loose tunic. Why do so many women miss this trick? Because we were raised thinking belts are functional first, meaning they hold pants up, so the idea of a purely decorative belt over flowing fabric feels unfamiliar. The fix is trying it on something shapeless in your closet right now. Take a long cardigan or an oversized tunic that normally hides your shape, and cinch a belt over it at your narrowest point. Instantly, that shapeless piece has a defined waist. A great styling tip here is using a stretch belt or a wide elastic belt for this look specifically, because it moves with the fabric instead of digging in or creating a stiff line. I've seen this transform outfits that women thought they'd have to donate simply because the shape wasn't working anymore. One belt, and suddenly that oversized cardigan became one of the most complimented pieces in the wardrobe, worn on repeat instead of avoided. It's a wonderful reminder that a piece of clothing isn't finished until you decide it's finished. You have far more control over how something looks on you than the original design ever intended. If you've learned something new so far, let me know in the comments which of these belt tricks you've already tried, or which one you're most excited to try. And if you're enjoying these timeless style tips, please take a moment to like this video, because it really helps this channel reach more women just like you. Trick 6. Use the belt to balance your proportions, not just your waist. A belt isn't only about the middle of your body. It's actually one of the most powerful tools for balancing your entire proportions top to bottom, and most women never use it that way. This trick gets missed because we focus so intensely on the waist itself that we forget the belt also visually divides your body into an upper section and a lower section. Where you place that division changes how tall or how balanced you appear. Here's the fix. If you want to appear taller, position the belt slightly higher than your natural waist, which creates longer-looking legs. If you feel your upper body is shorter and want more visual balance, keep the belt at or just slightly below the natural waistline instead. A styling tip worth remembering. Try both placements in the mirror before deciding, because your ideal placement might be different from what worked for you in your 30s or 40s. Bodies change, and so should our styling habits. A real example that comes up in my messages often is women feeling like their proportions are off in outfits that used to work perfectly for them years earlier. It's rarely the outfit's fault. It's usually the belt placement quietly needing an update to match how our body carries itself today. This is also a confidence booster because once you understand you can adjust proportions with something as simple as belt placement, you stop feeling stuck with certain body shapes and start feeling like you have real control over how you present yourself. The next trick surprises almost every woman I share it with, so stick around. Trick 7. Add a belt where you'd never expect one. This final trick is my favorite because it's the one almost nobody tries, and it makes the biggest visual difference. Adding a thin belt on the outside of an open blazer or unbuttoned jacket, right at the point where the jacket would naturally close, creates an instant hourglass illusion, even over boxy or structured pieces. Most women skip this because a blazer already feels finished on its own. We don't think to add anything extra to something that's already a complete piece of clothing. The fix is choosing a slim belt in a color that either matches your blazer or complements it, and simply wrapping it around the outside at your narrowest point, letting the blazer fall open on both sides. It creates shape and structure exactly where a boxy blazer normally hides it. A styling tip here. This works beautifully over long cardigans too, not just blazers, so if you own more cardigans than jackets, you still have plenty of opportunities to try this. I had a viewer send me a photo after trying this over a plain black blazer she'd worn for years without much excitement. She said it was the first time in a long time she felt genuinely excited getting dressed in an outfit she already owned. That's really the heart of everything I teach here. It's rarely about buying more. It's about seeing what you already have differently. And on affordability, this might be the most budget-friendly trick of all 7, because a single inexpensive thin belt can transform blazers, cardigans, coats, and dresses you already own, giving you what feels like multiple new outfits without spending a cent on anything new. So there you have it, 7 simple belt tricks that can make you look slimmer, more put together, and more confident, starting with clothes already hanging in your closet right now. None of this required a shopping trip. Just a shift in how you think about a piece of clothing most of us have been overlooking for years. Style at any age, and especially after 60, isn't about chasing youth or hiding who you are. It's about wearing what makes you feel like the most confident, most authentic version of yourself. And confidence really is the most flattering thing any woman can wear. The belt is simply a tool. You're the one who brings the confidence to the outfit. If this video helped you see your wardrobe in a new light, please subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And go check out my other video on the 5 styling mistakes that are secretly aging your outfits, because it pairs perfectly with everything we just covered today. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Try one of these tricks this week and let me know how it goes. I'll see you in the next video.